You know, when in '78, I have to tell you this little story, a little bit so you can get the background, but I was showing a horse, I think it was '76 actually, called Hollywood Rita, which was really a nice open mare, and I lived in California. And this, the only reason I got her to ride was the gentleman that owned this horse was an older gentleman named George Wheeler, and he and my father were trail riding buddies. And I was in school, I was at UCLA, and studying to be a vet, and doing well in school, and I played a lot of sports, so I was, you know, not riding full time for sure. And I got this horse and I started showing it. So on the weekends, George would, you know, I'd load up with George and his truck and trailer, and off we'd go to the cutting, and he'd let me show this mare. So anyway, we showed up at in Imperial in Southern California one weekend, and who strolls in but Larry Reeder on Cowbar. And I'm going, oh my God, you know, it's like, you know, God almighty. And I didn't, you know, I'm really shy. I mean, I know it's hard to believe, but I was really shy then. So I didn't say anything to him. I just went, you know, stoic, and I was on my horse and I warmed her up. And anyway, I'm in the open, Larry's in the open, this great big bay stud, you know, and Larry Reeder, famous Texas cutting horse trainer. And I mean, I'm just like little potatoes, big potatoes, little, big. He's big, I'm little. So here we go. I win the open. I mark 75, he marks 74. So I'm going around going, oh my God, you know, and I'm off somewhere and I'm starting to turn back for somebody, and he rides up to me. And he says, who are you? And I said, Lindy. He goes, well, I'm going to tell you something. He said, I have never seen anybody want this more than I do until you. He said, I've never seen anybody want this any more than I did, but it's you, isn't it? And I go, I don't know, but I want this really bad. And he says, I can tell. He says, I'll tell you what. He says, if you want, you load your horses up. You load your horse up and you come up and see me. I'm, you know, in Wasco, California, at Wayne Hodges' place, and I'll help you. And I said, when? You know, I'm coming. He says, well, whenever it works. And so anyway, about a week later, I drove over there, drove up. I think I took off school, and he let me ride all his horses. And he told Ellen, his wife at the time, he said, you know, because Ellen would tell me what Larry said. You know, it kind of went around that way. And Ellen said, oh, Larry just loves the way you ride, and you're just like a sponge, and he's never seen anybody with any better timing. But he says, he tells you one thing, you do it. He says, you're just like a blank canvas. Whatever he says, you'll do. And I said, well, you know, I'm not going to tell the ice cream man how to make ice cream, you know. So anyway, Larry let me, you know, I loved watching him. He at that time kind of had started a new, I won't say a new style, but he was younger than Buster. He worked for Matlock for many years, and he had a really great, big, quick, hard stop, big, quick style. So I loved to watch Larry, and obviously we were great friends, you know, for, you know, a whole life, you know, our whole lives. We've been great friends. And Buster, of course, because Buster was the best at working the herd, and I think to this day he's still the best, because he could go in a herd and cut and find the right cow, and seemingly with no effort, which is what we write in the rule book, is that's the way great herd work is, you know. And he could go in, and he always drove way away from that herd. He had so much confidence in the way he would cut, and I wanted to be, I mean, to me, he set himself up for a good score before he ever dropped his hand. And our judges thought the same thing, you know. And when I judge, I'd sit there and watch, you know, cutter after cutter after cutter show. And, you know, good horse, bad horse, indifferent, everything would look good. But boy, when somebody'd step in there, and here they come, way up out of that herd with lots of confidence, and drop their horse. Now that, you just sit up and you go, whoa, let's see what this is going to happen here now. This looks good. And that's what Buster did every time. So I loved watching Buster. And I never really got to work with Buster a lot. I was hauling, I don't remember what year it was, maybe 90, maybe just 90, something around there, real early in the 90s. And we stopped in Sweetwater at his ranch. And I got to work with him a couple days. And it was great fun. And you know, he put me on all his horses. And I mean, that was a high point in my life, was to get to ride there with Buster. So that was pretty cool.